You're sitting across from a loan officer named Brian. Brian has a framed photo of a golden retriever on his desk. Brian is smiling at you the way a dentist smiles before saying, "You're going to feel a little pressure." Brian slides a piece of paper across the table and says, "Congratulations, you've been pre-approved for $340,000. And something happens in your chest. It's warm. It's pride. It's the feeling of crossing a finish line you didn't even know you were running toward since you were 9 years old, watching your parents argue about rent. Priya is 31. She works in marketing. She makes $67,000, which is enough to feel okay on the 1st and nervous by the 19th. She just got that pre-approval email and she cried in her car, not from joy, from a feeling so close to joy she couldn't tell the difference. A kind of terrified relief, like being pulled from the ocean by a helicopter whose pilot you've never met. Her co-workers sent the house emoji 14 times. She screenshotted it and sent it to her mom. Here's what nobody sent Priya. The math. Not the bank's math. The bank's math is beautiful. The bank's math says $2,180 a month, 6.8% rate, 30-year fixed, and look, you're building equity. The bank's math has a pie chart. The bank's math smells like fresh cookies and sounds like a key turning in a lock. I mean the other math, the one they never print. And it starts with a question that sounds almost too simple. Where did the money come from? Because here's what most people think happens when a bank gives you a mortgage. The bank has money, from deposits, from investors, from somewhere, and it lends you that money, taking a risk that you might not pay it back. In exchange for that risk, it charges you interest. Fair deal. The bank risked its capital. You got a house. That is the version they taught you in school. And it is, to put it as gently as I can, a lie that makes the actual thing possible. When Brian approves Priya for $340,000, the bank does not go into a vault. It does not pull money from other people's accounts. It opens a computer and types $340,000 into existence. New money. Money that did not exist anywhere in the economy until Priya signed her name. The Bank of England, not a conspiracy blog, not a Reddit thread, the actual central bank of the United Kingdom, published a paper in 2014 that said this explicitly. Whenever a bank makes a loan, it simultaneously creates a matching deposit in the borrower's account, thereby creating new money. The bank didn't lend Priya its money. The bank manufactured money from Priya's promise to pay. Her debt is the product. Her signature is the raw material. The $340,000 didn't come from somewhere. It came from her. And the bank will now collect interest on money it never had. So let's update the story. Priya thinks she just received something, a chance, a gift, a vote of confidence. What actually happened is that the bank used her future labor, 30 years of it, as the ingredient to create an asset for itself. That pre-approval email wasn't generosity. It was a receipt for something the bank just built out of her. Now, 41 days after closing, 41 days, she still has painter's tape on the hallway trim. Priya gets a letter from a company she's never heard of. Her mortgage has been sold, bundled with a few thousand others into a mortgage-backed security, and shipped to investors who'll never know her name. The bank already got paid. Origination fees, sale premium, done. Priya's loan will be sold twice more in 3 years. She'll get 2 more letters from 2 more companies she's never heard of, each time while she's in the middle of something. Once while making dinner, once while Googling why her water heater is making a sound it shouldn't. She'll stop reading the letters by the second one. The bank is counting on that. Because while Priya stopped tracking who owns her debt, the bank didn't stop tracking her. It knows she's now a full relationship customer. Their term, not mine. Because she has her checking account, her savings, her homeowner's insurance, and soon, her credit card all at the same place. The mortgage was never the product. It was the door. And now, Priya is inside, and every other product is walking through it behind her. But all of that, the money creation, the selling, the cross-selling, that's the business model. And business models are interesting. What I want to talk about now is something worse. Something that should genuinely change how you think about your own life. Your credit score. The thing you've been protecting like a Tamagotchi since you were 22. The thing that determines whether the world sees you as a responsible adult or a financial cautionary tale. The thing you check the way some people check their weight, furtively, hoping for good news, letting the number set the emotional temperature of your Tuesday. Who built the credit scoring model? Lenders. The scoring system was designed by the institutions that profit when you borrow. And here's what it rewards. A person with a $400,000 mortgage, 2 credit cards, and a car loan will, all else being equal, have a higher credit score than a person who owns their home free and clear with 0 debt and pays for everything in cash. 0 debt does not maximize your score. Owing banks money does. I need you to sit with that for a second. The scoreboard that the entire financial system uses to judge your responsibility was designed by the people who make money when you're in debt. A credit score isn't a measure of financial health. It's a measure of how profitable you are to lenders. It's a loyalty program for debt dressed up as a measure of character. And we just all agreed to organize our entire adult lives around it. We check it monthly. We optimize for it. Some people put it in dating profiles. The whole time, the game was designed so that the winning move for the bank looks like the winning move for you. But wait, if the system is rigged toward debt, what happens when the bank calls you and offers to lower your rate? Great question. Let's call Priya. It's 3 years later. She picks up the phone. Great news, Priya. Rates have dropped. You could refinance and save $215 a month. Priya does the quick math in her head. $215 a month. That's groceries. That's her streaming and gym combined. She says yes. She calls her mom. I'm saving $215 a month. Her mom says, see, you made a good decision buying. Priya feels, genuinely, for the first time in a while, like she's ahead of something instead of behind it. She posts a story about it. Little house emoji, little money with wings emoji. 53 people see it. 4 of them heart it. Here's what none of those 53 people know, including Priya. Mortgages are front-loaded with interest. In year 1, roughly 75% of every payment is pure interest. By year 3, Priya was just starting to make meaningful progress on her actual principal, just starting to really own a piece of her house. The refinance resets the amortization schedule. New loan, new clock. She's back to 75% interest. She's back at square one of the bank's most profitable phase. The bank collected a new origination fee. The bank gets to sell the new loan. And here's the sentence I need you to hear. Priya will pay more total interest over her lifetime of borrowing than if she'd never refinanced at all. She will pay more. And she will feel like she's saving money because $215 a month is tangible and now and real. And the extra $40,000 in lifetime interest is invisible and later. And later is where banks live. Because human beings are biologically terrible at feeling later. And financially, that's not a flaw. It's a feature for them. Okay, Mr. Dollar, I get it. Banks make money from mortgages. It's a business. What's the big deal? The big deal is what the mortgage does to you when you're not looking at it. Meet Marcus. Marcus is 38, project manager, makes $94,000. Good job, not a great job. The kind of job where when someone asks, "Do you like what you do?" he says, "It's fine," a little too quickly. Marcus has a mortgage, $2,400 a month, and a daughter starting kindergarten in the fall, which means the next 5 years are locked in geographically no matter what. 6 months ago, Marcus got a call from a former colleague, a startup in Austin. The role was a 30% raise, equity, smaller team, work he actually cared about. Marcus sat in his car in the company parking lot for 45 minutes after that call. He looked up home prices in Austin. He looked at his remaining mortgage balance. He calculated what he'd lose selling after only 4 years, the transaction costs, the closing fees on a new place, the fact that he'd barely touched his principal because he'd refinanced 18 months ago. He opened the calculator app 3 times. He closed it 3 times. He texted back, "Appreciate you thinking of me. The timing isn't right." He sat in the parking lot for another 10 minutes. Then he went back to the job he'd just described to his wife last week as slowly killing me. He went back because the mortgage told him to. Marcus is not unusual. He is, statistically speaking, normal. A person with a mortgage is 37% less likely to quit their job in any given year. Homeowners with less than 20% equity are significantly less likely to relocate for higher paying positions. Exposed mortgage debt correlates with lower rates of entrepreneurship, lower rates of aggressive salary negotiation, and higher tolerance of workplace conditions the person privately describes as unsatisfactory. A mortgage doesn't just make you a reliable borrower, it makes you a reliable employee. And not reliable in the way that means good at your job, reliable in the way that means unlikely to leave. A person with $2,400 in non-negotiable monthly obligations doesn't walk into their boss's office and say, "We need to talk about my compensation," with the same energy as a person whose rent is $1,100 and who could move to Austin next month if things don't work out. The mortgage anchors you, not just to a house, to your current salary, your current city, your current tolerance for things you'd otherwise refuse to tolerate. And here's the thing nobody says out loud. This isn't just good for banks, it's good for employers. A workforce in debt is a workforce that shows up. A workforce with mortgages is a workforce that doesn't take risks. The stability that home ownership provides, the thing every bank and every real estate ad and every Thanksgiving uncle calls a virtue, from the other side of the negotiating table has a different name. Over there, they call it retention. And retention is worth a lot of money to people who are not you. That is the thing no one says at the closing table. No one says, "By the way, this signature will make you a more predictable, more manageable economic unit for the next 30 years. They say, "Congratulations." They hand you keys. Someone takes a photo. Now, one more piece and it goes fast. You've heard of the mortgage interest deduction, the tax break that's supposed to make homeownership worth it. Economists have studied it for decades. The consensus is brutal. It mainly inflates home prices because buyers can afford more, so sellers charge more. And it lets banks keep rates higher because the deduction absorbs part of the cost. The benefit flows upward, to sellers, to banks, to investors. The National Association of Realtors spends over $80 million a year in lobbying to protect this single deduction. They are not spending $80 million to protect your tax break. They are spending $80 million to protect the engine that keeps you walking into Brian's office. The mortgage interest deduction is a bank subsidy laundered through your tax return, and you've been thanking the government for it. So, let's land this. I am not telling you not to buy a house. A house can be the right move. For some people, in some cities, at some price points, with some math. But I need you to hear something clearly. Every single entity that encouraged you to buy a house, the bank, the agent, the loan officer, the credit score, the tax code, the culture, every one of them profits when you sign. The bank creates money from your signature. Sells your loan before you unpack. Uses your mortgage to sell you everything else. Encourages you to refinance so it can restart the most profitable phase of the loan. Benefits from a credit system it helped design that rewards your debt. Benefits from your reduced mobility, your anchored salary, your reliable, anxious presence in the economy. And let's talk about Derek one more time. Derek is 44, electrician. Bought his place 10 years ago for $260,000. Derek loves showing people his Zillow estimate. $340, up 80 grand. Derek has not calculated the $109,000 he's paid in interest, the $41,000 in property taxes, the $26,000 in insurance, the $19,000 in maintenance, or the $4,200 furnace that died 3 weeks ago. After agent fees, Derek's actual net gain on a decade of ownership is roughly $22,000. His buddy, who rented and invested the difference, is doing fine. But Derek doesn't know that. because Derek's buddy doesn't have a Zillow number to show at barbecues. And in this country, if you can't show it, it doesn't count. Derek is showing his brother-in-law the Zillow number right now. His brother-in-law is nodding. Smart move, man. And Derek feels it. That warm feeling. The same one Priya felt in her car. The same one Marcus felt 3 years before the parking lot. The feeling of having done the right thing. Not because you ran the numbers, but because everyone told you it was right. And the alternative was too frightening to consider. The question was never, should you buy a home? The question is, who told you to? And what did they make when you did? Priya is 31 years old. She has a sticky note on her bathroom mirror that says, "This is your house." She put it there because she's proud. And she should be proud. She got further than a lot of people. But the note is wrong. For the next 30 years, unless she runs her own math, ignores the scoreboard that was built to keep her borrowing, and makes every decision based on what is true instead of what is traditional, that house doesn't belong to her. It belongs to a system that used her signature to print money and her dream to keep her in place. Run your math, not Brian's, not Zillow's, not the tax codes, yours. And if your uncle says renting is throwing money away, ask him to calculate his total cost of ownership, subtract his transaction costs, compare it to the S&P over the same period, and get back to you. He won't, but you will. And that's the difference.